This is a video lecture on interest groups. Let's start with a roadmap to this video. In this video lecture, you will learn about interest groups. You will learn how interest groups are different from political parties. You will learn how special interest groups change public policy. And you will learn about lobbying, electioneering, legal action, and public opinion of interest groups. An interest group is an organization of people with similar policy goals. For example, the NRA is an interest group, and their policy goal is to protect gun rights. Interest groups are different from political parties. To start, they don't have their own candidate for election, but they will often give money to a politician or a political party. Interest groups are also different from political parties because they're specialists on certain issues. The Republican Party will try to appeal to gun rights activists, to business professionals, and the religious right. But the National Rifle Association, or the NRA, isn't worried about making all these people happy. They only worry about appealing to gun rights activists. Stop here and answer this question in your notes. How are interest groups different from political parties? If you feel that you do not know this content, please pause this video and rewind. Good, let's move on. Interest groups enter into the political process to try to achieve their goals. They try to achieve their goals in 4 different ways: through lobbying, electioneering, legal action, and through public opinion. The first example is lobbying. The name originated when members of Congress didn't have offices or homes in DC, but they stayed in hotels. People from interest groups who wanted to meet with them would have to wait in the lobby in the hotel until they spotted the congressman that they wanted to see. But everyone trying to meet a congressman isn't a lobbyist. A lobbyist must be someone who represents an interest group and communicates with a politician to try and influence their decision on an issue that's important to their group. It's not just every citizen that meets with the politician. If you think about it like Dr. Seuss's The Lorax, he was like a lobbyist for the trees. If the Lorax were a lobbyist in Washington, he would meet with politicians to try and influence legislation that would serve the needs of the trees. Lobbyists can help politicians in 4 ways. They're specialists in their field and can inform the politician. They can help politicians find a way to get legislation through Congress. They can work on campaign strategies. And they're a good source of new ideas for laws. Stop here and answer these questions in your notes. Who is a lobbyist, and what do they do? And how can a lobbyist help politicians do their job? If you feel that you don't know this content, please rewind the video and rewatch. Okay, moving on. Special interest groups help politicians get elected through electioneering. Interest groups give money to political campaigns, and to give money to campaigns, they must create a Political Action Committee, or PAC. This is so that the government can keep track of how much money goes to the candidate. PACs pour millions of dollars into elections. They give money to candidates who will vote for legislation that benefits their interest group. PACs are controversial because the individuals and groups that have more money usually have a greater influence in who gets elected. A politician might put the preferences of the interest group first when they are voting in Congress because it's where they get the money to run a very pricey election campaign. A congressman is always thinking about the next election. They need money to win, and so they don't want to upset the interest groups. Stop here and answer these questions in your notes. What is a political action committee, or PAC? And why are PACs controversial? If you feel that you don't know this content, please stop the video here and rewind. Okay, let's move on. If interest groups fail to pass their legislation through with lobbying, they can take their argument to court. Special interest groups, like the NAACP, won important victories in the 1950s with civil rights legislation like school desegregation in Brown versus Board of Education. Special interest groups can try to influence the judge by writing arguments for the court that say how the decision would affect them as a group. This is a picture of Thurgood Marshall, who was one of the main lawyers during the civil rights movement. Stop here and answer these questions in your notes. What can an interest group do if their legislation doesn't pass through Congress? And name one famous example. If you feel that you don't know this content, please stop the video and rewind. Okay, moving on. Special interest groups are also concerned with influencing the public because public concerns find their way to Congress. Special interest groups utilize media and advertising campaigns to influence voters. They want to present the best image of their group, but sometimes they don't. PETA is an interest group that does not do a good job of positively influencing the opinion of voters. Their issue is the protection of animals, but they stood outside a department store and threw fake blood on people who were wearing fur. That's kind of like dumping blood on Carrie and not expecting her to freak out and kill you all. Interest groups shouldn't do that because it just makes everyone hate you, and then they won't call their congressman and tell them to vote for legislation you like. Stop here and answer these questions in your notes. Why is it important for interest groups to maintain a good public image? If you feel you do not know this content, please rewind and watch the video again. Okay, moving on. So, in conclusion, interest groups are a vital link from the people to Congress, and they are essential because they give people the opportunity to participate in their government more enthusiastically without running for office. It also helps to create interest in public affairs, and it advances issues that are important to Americans. Thank you for watching this video lecture. Remember, you can watch this as many times as necessary until you feel comfortable with the content.